قتل الإنسان ما أكفره.
Bismillah wa salawatu wa salamu ala rasulullah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alright, so today we're doing a video on the genius himself, J. Smith, the amazing revisionist who believes that Mecca used to be Petra, which I've covered. I made 2 videos on that. And yeah, among other amazing theories he comes up with. It's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I can't believe it, bro. Alright, so, yeah, I'm gonna go through his videos, historical errors in the Quran. Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Let's say that, alright, so let's start the video. Well, let's not start, let's go with this first claim.
When you open the Quran, you will see in chapter 20, verse 85 to 87, and then also 95 to 97, that when Moses goes up to Mount Sinai, a Samaritan builds the golden calf. And it's very clear that this was a Samaritan because Moses said to him, "And what is your case, O Samaritan?" The problem is there were no Samaritans in 1400 BC. Samaritans were not created until the fall of the northern kingdom by Israel by Sargon II. And that was in 722 BC. So how can you have Samaritans existing 700 years earlier?
Alright, now J. Smith makes a claim about Samaritans being mentioned during the time of Moses in the Quran. He says that they only came out in 775 BC, which is a criminal misunderstanding. The Samaritans, they claim to be from Joseph. Rabbi Meir, which is one of the greatest rabbis in Jewish literature, actually corrects them, saying this is wrong, but still believes them to be of genuine Israelite origin. Regardless if either side is true, in Jewish and Samaritan scholarship, they both believe to be before the time of Moses. 2 Kings 17 is also regarded by most Samaritan scholars to not be a proper origin of the Samaritan people. There's a very good article by Islam Awareness, which further describes this with sources from Samaritan scholars.
Mosque, much too early. Remember, we talked about this mosque last night. That's the Dome of the Rock, and there's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. One was built in 691, the other was built in 710. In chapter 17, verse 1 of the Quran, it talks about the Masjid al-Haram and the Masjid al-Aqsa, but it talks about from the great mosque to the farthest mosque, assuming that therefore that is referring to the Miraj that I referred to last night, where Muhammad went from Mecca up to Jerusalem. The farthest mosque would be in Jerusalem. The difficulty is there were no Muslims in Jerusalem. Muslims didn't get to Jerusalem until at least what do I have here? 649 to 650. So you see, they've got Muslims in the wrong place doing the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Okay, this one's funny. Now I must ask you, J. Smith, the amazing scholar of Islam, what does masjid mean? Now, for most people who know what they're talking about, it means gathering place. So it was the furthest gathering place for the believers. But don't believe me, read what Ibn Kathir said.
Chapter 34, verse 10 to 11 of the Quran, it talks about David and that he was to make full coats of mail and circulate precisely the links, meaning chain mail. Yet David lived in 1000 BC. There was no chain mail. They didn't have that technology in 1000 BC. Coats of chain mail were not invented until 200 BC.
To al-Masjid al-Aqsa means the sacred house, which is in Jerusalem, the origin of the prophets from the time of Ibrahim al-Khalil. The prophets all gathered there, and he, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, led them in prayer in their own homeland. This indicates that he is the greatest leader of all. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon them. So yeah, as you can see from that, Ibn Kathir agrees with me. Let's go to the next one.
Of Pharaoh and Moses, the sorcerers who could not keep up with with Moses, they were taken out and they were crucified. That's in 1400 BC. You see that in Surah 7, ayah 120 to 124, and in chapter 20, verse 71. In the story of Joseph, which is in 1800 BC, again, a Pharaoh takes the baker and crucifies him. You can't have crucifixions that early, because crucifixions were not introduced until 500 BC. They were not ever used in Egypt as well.
Now this next one is about Prophet David ﷺ having chain mail before it was invented. Now we know David ﷺ was during the Iron Age, therefore it would have been impossible for him to develop something that was similar or along the same lines as chain armor. Our friend J. Smith, the amazing scholar, makes another criminal mistake in his understanding of crucifixion. Now, crucifixion isn't only just putting someone on the cross, it can also mean impalement, which Egyptians have been known to do, and they've even admitted this in their own texts. There's an article I'll post down below so you can see all the examples of impalement used by the Egyptians.
Should have got the crucifixion right, it gets it wrong. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ. He was not crucified according to Surah 4, Ayah 157. Yet when you take a look at all the historical material from the first century, look at the historians who had referred to that crucifixion. You have Thallus and Phlegon who are debating it in 52 AD, just 20 years after the event. You have Tacitus who hated Christians. He was talking about it. Even he is the one that tells it happened during the time of Pontius Pilate, while Tiberius was emperor, proving that it had to happen in 33 AD. That's why we get the date for the crucifixion. He was a Roman historian. Josephus, a Jewish historian, talks about the crucifixion, mentions not only that Jesus was crucified, but then it goes on to say that the Christians believe he rose again. So there is a Greek historian, Roman historian, and Jewish historian all talking about the crucifixion.
There's another claim on the crucifixion of Prophet Isa, alayhi salam. Now, you can either watch one of my two videos on Mr. Batman, which refute this idea completely.
In chapter 19, verse 28, it says, Mary, you have certainly done a thing unprecedented, O sister of Aaron. So Mary, the mother of Jesus, is the sister of Aaron. In chapter 66, verse 12, the same Mary, who is the mother of Jesus, is the daughter of Imran, who is the father of Aaron. And in chapter 20, verse 30, Aaron has a brother named Moses. So both Aaron and Moses, who are the sons of Imran, which is the biblical Amran, have a sister named Miriam, who is the mother of Jesus. Do you see a problem with that? Especially when you know that Aaron and Moses did have a sister named Miriam. They were all three the children of Amram, but they lived in 1400 BC. Mary lived in the first century, unless she was a very old Mary.
Now he makes a mistake about Mary radiallahu anhu, somehow being the sister of Harun, who is the brother of Musa alayhi salam. It's referring to a lineage of him and how they're both Bani Israel. It's kind of like how Jesus is mentioned to have brothers and sisters in the New Testament, but as we know, many Christian scholars say they aren't his literal brothers and sisters. They're like his cousins. They're simply just other Israelites. Same way with Mary radiallahu anhu and Harun, right? They're not directly brothers and sisters, but they're both Bani Israel.
Night, so we won't reiterate that over again. It gets the wrong Qibla at the wrong place, finally gets the right Qibla for Mecca, not till 727, and finally was not made solidified until the 800s.
Alright, so he makes a Petra claim. But just check my two videos on that. Like, it's trash. Like, the claim is trash. It's trash. I saw it like 10 times. Alright, next claim.
Babel and Haman in chapter 28, verse 38, mentioning that Haman is an Egyptian. Chapter 40, verse 36 to 37, Pharaoh talks to Haman. The problem is Egypt never built any towers, as according to this story. They built pyramids. More than that, we know that Haman was not an Egyptian name. It is a Persian name, and we see him referred to in the story of Esther in chapter 3, verse 1. Pharaoh lived in 1500 BC, whereas Haman, the Persian Haman, lived in 510 BC. They never met each other because there was about 1,000 years between them.
Now, there's a great video on the miracle of Haman in the Quran. I'm going to link that down below. But, J. Smith, you do realize the book of the Bible you're quoting is long debated on, even if it's historical or not? Why would you even use this as a source? And yes, the Egyptians built towers. Look at what an obelisk is. These came way before Musa alayhi salam. Thousands of years before him. And you might be like, well, you can't get to the top of it because it's like pointy. Mate, you know something called climbing. I know, it's amazing.
We do not put at God's feet. It makes Alexander the Great amazing engineer. In chapter 18, verse 96, it talks about Alexander creating a wall between two mountains to keep the barbarians from getting across. This great big wall that is big enough to hold down an entire army is made out of iron and copper. Now, Alexander lived in the 3rd century BC. That would be one of the greatest engineering events of history, to say nothing of the fact that we can't even make those large walls of iron and copper even today. One of the greatest engineering feats, according to the Quran, by Alexander the Great. We have 3 biographies of Alexander. Nowhere is there any reference to this wall. And where would its residue be?
Alright, so as we know, Alexander the Great wasn't Dhul-Qarnayn because he was a polytheist. Next.
And then it refers to futuristic coins. We showed these on the wall, but I didn't unpack them for you. Remember, it said that Joseph was sold for a few dirham counted out. Counted out means coins, am I correct? If you're counting out, there must be coins. There were no coins at the time of Joseph in 1800 BC. Coins were not invented until the 600s by the Lydians.
Okay, so Jay Smith can't use Wikipedia properly because when we look up dirham, we can see it was used by the Sasanian Persians. We were much before Islam, so first claim is out the window. And dirham is just a variant, of the Greek word drachma. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Also, it was used as a unit of weight before it was used as a coin, so it was like a unit of weight, right? So your claim about no coins existing at the time is it's pretty damn weak. Yeah, that's about it. This video is just amazing. It's beautiful. It's pure genius. Yeah, I might do another longer, more serious video later on, but I just saw this video by Jay Smith and I was like, why the hell not? So, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu.